Happy Wednesday morning, Quad Cities, and I should say welcome to Ask Andrew, but notice again, no Andrew, so it's welcome to anyone but Ask Anyone But
Ask Anyone But Andrew.
Ask Anyone But Andrew.
Featuring Matthew and Evelyn.
He'll be back next week, though.
Yes, he will.
So it will officially go back to Ask Andrew, but we got you guys covered for one more week answering your guys' pressing questions, and guess what?
What?
Finally quiet weather.
Oh, yes.
No jump scares there.
Yeah.
So
Fog this morning, that was crazy.
Was it?
Yes, to
Yeah.
our north, it was absolutely like blind. Like you could not see anything.
Wow.
We had Whiteside County Airport camera up and going in the Prophetstown. They
Couldn't
were
see your
definitely the
hands?
worst. No, like you could barely see like the little, you could barely see like the grate that one of the cameras was on.
Yeah, we love dense fog. That can make for, a little bit of dicey conditions on the roadways.
Yes, but it cleared up nicely, and it had
Yeah.
a schedule too. Like it was supposed to only clear out around 10, but it started clearing up around 8:30.
Yeah, I didn't see any driving in here this morning.
Yeah,
so.
it was way north.
It was way north,
Way
gotcha.
north, yeah.
All right, so let's get to a little bit of the forecast right now. We can pull up and see what's going on outside right now. I noticed there were lots of blue skies. We still got those blue skies. 75 degrees. At dew point sitting at 70 degrees, so it is a little bit humid.
It's gonna get worse.
It's a little bit humid out there, and it's noticeable. It's not as oppressive as it was last week, but it's not as comfortable as it was on Monday or to begin the day yesterday. So there's that. We'll pull up that 8-day tracker since there's really not too much to talk about outside of the exception of Friday, where we could have a stray storm late, which could hinder any Friday night light plans. But I don't think so. I think, we can play football in some sprinkles and maybe a light shower. As long as there's no thunder, that's really the only thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was looking at one of the future tracks, and it would only roll through around like 6 p.m. and that would only affect the JV games.
Okay.
For us and everything. So that wouldn't be too bad out there for us. But I honestly think just the way things are going, it could even move out to the east as it comes down from the north.
I mean, look at that weekend.
Good. I know.
That weekend's awesome.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for that weekend too. Always looking forward to the weekend. We could actually go to Future Track and show Friday real quick here. We got to just set our timing out to Friday. I know we're starting to get those short-term model runs of Friday. We'll see what time it wants to go out till. But yeah, we've been talking about this all week just because, again, Friday night football. Okay, we could have some isolated showers later. All right, that's a little bit changing in the forecast, but then those winds are coming out of the northeast, so that'll bring back those dry conditions. So we'll be keeping an eye on that.
Little strays in the morning on Friday, here and there.
And I remember James talking about that we could have a little line moving through in the morning, but that looks like nothing at all. And then the afternoon, just an isolated afternoon, evening, like you said, moving off to the southeast when that timing. So Friday night lights should be good at this point in time. So we absolutely love to hear that. And we were going to get to this question last week.
But severe weather.
Severe weather. We went into a full severe weather discussion rather than Ask Anyone But Andrew. And it's more of a general question. We've kind of gotten this several times. And it's more so of a myth or a fact. Fishing in the rain is more effective for catching fish. You may have heard that the fish bite is always better when it's raining. And so I found a few graphics, and Evelyn crunched a few numbers.
I did, yes.
That kind of goes over weather and fishing. And she sent me a doc, or a Word doc.
I did a little science report, you guys.
She did, and then I found these graphics, and they lined up perfectly. So I feel like you should cover weather and fishing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the myth or a fact thing, I can't choose whether it is just a myth or just a fact as well. Because the important thing to realize is that the fish don't necessarily respond to the weather itself. They respond to how the water changes from our weather. So before the storm, the pressure rapidly drops and the cloud cover builds up, and bait fish are forced into more shallow water. So then during the storm, the winds pick up, things are moved around, but then fish want to, stay hunkered down just like we do. And they want to go in the deeper water, and especially too if there's dangerous lightning, which you shouldn't be fishing if there's lightning out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if you're on a body of water, you are the tallest thing on that body of water, which means you are the most likely to get shocked.
But then after the storm, that's when, especially here with the Mississippi, with the Rock River, it becomes really from all the runoff water and just debris in general, the water gets really muddy, and then fish don't like that, and the temperature is cooler, and the bite remains quiet for us there. So that's kind of our before, during, and after when it comes to weather impacting how the fish like to be in the water and everything. If you want to, so yes, and then.
So it seems like the 2 hours kind of leading up to, say, like a front or storm is kind of the best time.
Yes, for sure.
When those bait fish are for shallow, because then obviously the bigger fish are like, ooh, food. I'm gonna go chase that food.
Do you like to fish, Matthew?
When I go down to the Keys, we go fishing, but that's pretty much the only time I
Ocean
go
fishing?
Ocean fishing, yeah.
Okay,
down in the
I'm a
Florida
freshwater
States.
fishing girl.
I've never freshwater fished before.
It's a fun time.
But then again, when you live, in Florida,
Not a
you're
lot of
surrounded
freshwater.
by every body of water possible. So
Yeah.
You go out. And this is also another interesting graphic that you can go over. There's a little bit of more information to cover here, and then I'll tell you a little bit of a story about cold weather fishing.
Perfect. All right, so for some current conditions, with those little fish green markers telling us whether it's good or bad. Warm days increase the fish metabolism, so it's good shallow water fishing. On cooler days, though, it slows the activities down as fish move deeper in the water for us. And then cloudy skies, though, lead to active fish feeding in the open water, which is great for us when you want to go fishing for that. But then also when it comes to low and or high pressure, sharp increases in pressure puts the fish in a lethargic state, slowing the bite. So they kind of just float there. So that's not really good because they don't really want to bite anything. And then, a gradual increase will lead, it's okay to bite, especially though if it is continuing to go on a warmer trend rather than going back down on the cooler trend. But then good fishing when it comes to pressure is when it drops in pressure, and then it leads to a spike in the active fish, which then, of course, is your best fishing.
Well, so the cooler days, slowing the fish activity down. I went out of Steenhatchee, which is in the Big Bend of Florida. Really good clam fishing there. Well, not necessarily fishing, but clam season's really big there. But we went fishing out there, and it was the day after a pretty potent cold front moved through Florida. And when we went out there, we woke up at 7 a.m. and it was 36 degrees in Florida.
Yeah.
And we did not have a single bite on the 4-hour excursion that we were out there.
Darn.
And so yeah, I can attest that cooler days does slow the activity down because it was cold and those fish were not biting. So a few more things that we'll go over before we get to your question is I made a few reels this week. We'll start with the first one that's absolutely boggling, kind of going back over with what we saw from this past week. So somebody pointed out, Daryl Hersman from Iowa State University pointed out on Friday morning that we had 5 days in a row of a severe thunderstorm warning and or tornado warning issued by our National Weather Service. The all-time record was set back in 2008, and that was 7 days in a row. The National Weather Service then did go ahead and issue a severe thunderstorm warning down south, I think it was Lee County, Iowa, on Friday night, and then we had that cluster of severe thunderstorms move through the metro on Saturday night. That bumped us up to 7. So this is the second time it's ever happened where the National Weather Service office over in Davenport has issued either a severe thunderstorm warning and or tornado warning 7 days in a row. So that just kind of puts it into perspective of how active that weather pattern was this past week. And I went back and crunched the numbers as well to talk about how many tornado warnings that we saw and how many severe thunderstorm warnings that we saw. And the bulk of the severe thunderstorm warnings happened obviously on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday was the derecho event. Wednesday was that other line of severe thunderstorms. That one did not get classified as a derecho, but we had 11 on Tuesday and 13 severe thunderstorm warnings on Wednesday. And then we had that mini tornado outbreak on Sunday night, where we had 4 tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service in Davenport. And then we had 5 embedded tornado warnings with that derecho on Tuesday. So that brings that total, if you counted up those numbers, that's 32 severe thunderstorm warnings and 12 tornado warnings to bring us to a total of 44 severe and or tornado warnings issued by the National Weather Service over in Davenport from the span of last Sunday to this previous Saturday.
And we got to do lots of live coverage. I mean, you especially, you got that bonus on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Yeah, it was a hectic week, to say the least.
And we thank you guys for, being patient with us. It was my first week doing live severe weather coverage, and I hope by the Thursday morning when I had to take over by myself for a little bit there, it was all right. So once again, thank you guys for being so supportive and giving us that patience to learn. And hopefully just always continue to improve.
That's right. And then the other reel that I made yesterday, is this the issue you're having with your graphics?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We have to manually click play. So we can say bye-bye to late sunsets because August 16th was that last sunset of 8 o'clock or later. It was at 8 o'clock on the dot. The next sunset of 8 o'clock is on May 1st, 2027.
Wow.
That number is outdated. It is now 255 days away.
Woo!
Counting down the days till our next 8 p.m. sunset. But between now and August 31st, we're going to lose around 2.5 minutes a day on average of sunlight. That's both in the morning and in the evening. So that sunset on August 31st is going to be at 7:36. Now, obviously, that most drastic change will come in October when we turn those clocks back and we lose an extra hour right on top of that. But each and every day, we're losing about 2.5 minutes of sunlight. So now we'll get to your guys' questions. If you want to drop them in the chat, we'll get to them, as well as jokes. I know Riley just posted a few jokes.
Yes, hi, Riley.
I'm not going to look at them, unless you don't want to look at them and you answer.
I was going to say, who did it last week? I think you got to answer, right?
I think I tried to answer it
Okay,
last week, so
it's my turn
it's
now.
your turn. But we'll go to Dante Kelly first. How bad is it going to be on Friday night? I don't think bad at all. If there is a thunderstorm, it would be a 30-minute delay tops because it seemed to be moving pretty quick. And we can go out to Future Track. I got to set the dates again because I proceeded to not save the previous setup, but that's okay. So we'll just flick it off to Saturday at 6 a.m. All right, let's go to Friday morning. We've been talking about a little bit of a wave that moves through on Friday morning. As you can see, pretty much nothing, just a few tiny sprinkles on Friday morning. And then Friday night, once that front comes through, and you can actually really see where that front is.
Yeah.
You can see where those winds are moving from the southwest versus moving in from the northwest. So it's pretty apparent. So that'll be like that kind of focal point of where we could expect to see some isolated showers and thunderstorms pop up. But the morning round, it's kind of like a double front day. That morning round really kind of wipes out the atmosphere, really lowering that energy. And you can see on Future Track around 7:30, 8 o'clock, there's just one thing that Future Track is picking up on. And then, okay, maybe a few little waves behind it, but this is Saturday at 3 a.m. So Friday night lights will be long gone before then. But yeah, so Friday night looking to
It'll be my issue Saturday morning.
looking to be A-okay again. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you Riley's jokes.
Okay, I'm ready.
What is the richest kind of air?
Richest kind of air. Ooh. What type of weather does it have to deal with?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's weather.
Okay.
Like it's weather related because richest kind of air.
So I'm thinking like Earth, like a very rich Earth.
A billionaire.
Ah, that's funny.
Yeah, I get it.
That's good.
And then Riley also asked a question, is it going to be light rain this evening and Friday? Well, we just searched Friday. I'm still fighting water in my basement from the recent ring of fire and don't want more water. That's totally understandable because a lot of water was dumped in a very short amount of time. Some of the rainfall totals were just extremely impressive. But we could go look at Future Track for today. Started out around, what time is it right now? It is 9:22. So we'll start it at 10 in the morning. That way you, Riley, can see what we're looking at, and we'll just throw it out to Thursday morning, bright and early Thursday morning. All right, so just got the overhead clouds, boundary down to the south. That's going to be the focal point for where showers and thunderstorms may develop later this afternoon, but for the most part, looking to be well south of Interstate 80, kind of our southern counties like Henry County, Iowa, Des Moines County, Henderson, Mercer, maybe Knox County and Galesburg. And this could probably dump a few inches of rain too. You could tell the general trend popping up around 1 o'clock and not raining themselves out until around 6 o'clock. So if it's a steady rain for like 5 hours, that would dump a couple inches of rain. But after that, it seems to clear up. So it may be heavy in some spots this afternoon, mainly along that boundary. So we'll be continuing to keep an eye on where that boundary really sets up. But Future Track has that boundary well to the south of Interstate 80 for our southern counties at this point in time. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. So we don't really have any more questions in the chat, so I feel like we may just call it there.
Yeah.
We may just call it there, and Andrew will be back next Wednesday.
Yes.
For a real Ask Andrew, not Ask Anyone but Andrew.
Yeah.
But I
Sorry.
like that term. You came up with that one?
Ask Anyone But Andrew. I think it was one of our EPs.
One of our EPs?
Yeah,
Like, it
one
was
of our
not me.
EPs. Yeah, it was not me either.
So we'll give credit where credit is due. But
Yes.
yeah. So thank you guys again for joining us for another episode, and last episode of Ask Anyone But Andrew.
For now.
For now.
Andrew has to take some more time off at some point, and I'm
some
sure
point, yeah.
you'll see us again. You know.
So make sure to tune in next Wednesday, and I'll be doing the weather for the 11 a.m. on Good Morning
Yep.
Quad Cities. So catch me there. We'll go over all the latest, what you need to know for the rest of your work week and into this weekend. Finally, some good weather news.
Yes, definitely.
So
Gonna be a great day.
I'll see you then, and we'll see you next week for Ask Andrew.